All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our Pitch Pro Talks from Storyboard to Stage. Our Pitch Pro Talks is the second part of our two-part series where we are sharing how to prepare your pitch, not only just for your business, but also for pitching at Catch the Wave, which is coming up right around the corner in August. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. So, my name is Dr. Kitiana Lowe, and I am the Director of Administration here at WEBEC ORV. And just to share a little bit more about our team, if you aren't already aware or aren't already familiar, we are led by our fearless leader, Miss Lenice Smith, who's our president and CEO. Alongside her is our our Director of Certification and Outreach, Colleen Rudisell, and our Fractional Chief Marketing Officer, Stephen Easley. We would not be able to do all that we do in certification without our dynamic certification team led by our certification manager, Robert Moore, as well as our certification specialist, Angela Ruff. And then, of course, all of our corporate partners are definitely familiar with our corporate relations consultant, Byron Stallworth. So we are a mighty but small team, and we are excited to put together this webinar for today, which is Pitch Pro Talks, like I said, from Storyboard to Stage. We are honored to have Sherry Jevons with us today, who is the president of Power Presentations. Power Presentations is based in Cleveland, Ohio, and has been in business since 1993. She is one of our certified WBEs and has been certified with WeBank for over 20 years. So without further ado, Sherry, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours, and I am excited to hear from you today.
Very good. Well, let me just get that going for everybody. All right. Hi, I'm Sherry Jevons. I'm excited to give you some great information. So those of you that want to submit your videos for Catch the Wave, you're going to look and sound fantastic. So let's get started. Here's your goal. Your goal is to create a video that you're proud of and tell your story in a really short period of time. So let me just tell you, I've been in presentation skills training for 30 plus years now, and it's hard to tell your story in 60 seconds. Very hard. But today we're going to go over some steps on how you can do that from the heart. We want to make sure that it's exciting, that it's enthusiastic. We don't want you to have to rush. We want it to be true to who you are. So therefore, I'm going to talk about my agenda today, which is creating memorable content, how to practice to get yourself ready, the setup for the success, the environment, the camera, and then, of course, most importantly, your delivery. So first things first, content is king. Let's talk about the content. As I said earlier, 60 seconds is tough, but we want to get to the essence of what is special about you. What sets you apart? Opening with a compelling sentence that has a feeling of tell me more is one of the first things you want to be thinking about. And it's not necessarily, hi, my name is, and my company name is. It's going to be something that says, that's kind of intriguing, that people are like, I'd like to know more about that. So I'm getting right into the content. So those of you that are watching the recording, if you don't go past this part, at least you've got the content piece. And that is the toughest part about this whole thing. So what I want to talk to you about is I'm going to go on the left-hand side first. I'm actually going to get my pointer or my pen. It's looking for my pointer, but I'll use my pen. Here we go. So right here, step one, products and services. Excuse me, I'm sorry, step one, info, the pain point. Okay, I'm going to go down the left-hand side first, then I'm going to go on the right-hand side because that's my example. So we're talking about the pain point. Why did you get into your business? Like, what was the problem you tried to solve? Second step, your product or service or info, how it will solve the problem. This is a value proposition. The info on who will buy from you. Okay, who will buy from you? What's your target market? Then, can you weave a little story in there? And for me, when you see my example, it's a one sentence of something that people say that makes it kind of unique as to what I do for them. I want you to articulate the ask And then last but not least, the killer closing. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my information there. And clear all my drawings. Now, I want to come over to the right-hand side. What I decided to do for you, and it's not perfect, but I wanted to give you an idea of if I were pitching me, what would I say? Now, let's back it up just for a second. Obviously, my name is Sherry Jevons. I'm the president of Power Presentations, and we do presentations and communication skills training. Okay, done it for a long time. So here's my pitch, and obviously people will know my name and my company name prior to the pitch. So I'm getting right into my pitch and I'm saying, did you know that 75% of people fear public speaking more than death? Well, that is the problem I'm trying to solve. And when we teach our presentations and communication skills training, our goal is to build people up, not tear them down. It's to make them feel and look dynamic. So we are targeting to all kinds of professionals, but anybody that's got to have a voice in a place where they're trying to create influence. So that's anywhere from a CEO all the way to somebody that's brand new in a company. The number one thing people tell us after they take our class, and by the way, this is people that have been 30 years in the business or 3 months in the business, is I wish I had done this 10 years ago. So the ask is don't wait 10 years to get presentation and communication training. We are in the career making business and we want to help all of you build your career up to the heights that you'd like to achieve. Okay, now I didn't time that. Probably close to 60, maybe a little bit longer. But the point being is you can't get into too much of the details. Like I didn't get into my story about we've got 6 different programs. We target these audiences. I didn't get into all of that checklist. I got into intriguing them to want to know more about me. Okay. Now, moving on. Okay, go to the next slide. There we go. So I was going to take a volunteer today, but we want to keep things really tight. So I just gave the volunteer. So it's going to look fantastic for all of you. When you try to practice, I want to get into the practice mode. Let's do that. How to practice. That content piece should help you with that flow, but now you're ready to present. Here's the first thing I want you to know about practicing and presenting. The very first thing you need to do is it has to come from the heart. It has to come from your own personality. What I do not want you to do, I don't want you to put scripts together. Okay? Don't do that. Don't read it. Right there, you're putting yourself in a position of not shining your best. Okay? So that's not authentic. We all know how to read. Now, if you want, if you've got a camera out, you might use your phone cameras, maybe you have a real camera. You could put just a small note card with maybe 3 key bullet points of things you want to cover. That's it. Okay. And you're not writing out sentences at all, just things that you want to prompt your brain, very much like what I just had on this previous slide. The bigger the paper, farther away behind the camera. So you've got it, maybe you've got something, a piece of paper that's behind the camera that's really big, but you want to make sure you are looking straight into that camera. My recommendation, stand. I want you standing. The videos that I saw of past winners, they were standing and had like a 3/4 shot. I could see their body, I could see their emotion. It already felt exciting for me to see them. You're going to practice speaking out loud. Lots of people practice that. They read. It's not going to work. You've got to hear your voice out loud. And the most important part about practicing, you actually want to hear yourself saying it differently every single time. I do not want the same things coming out of your mouth. It'll be close, but it'll be different. And here's why. If you write a script and if you try to memorize a script, you will not do well. You'll get so hung up on, oh, I missed that word, I missed that phrase. It doesn't matter. When we speak from the heart, we just speak, right? We don't have a specific word or sentence. So you do not want to memorize. You want to practice your content flow. And of course, obviously you've got to time it. Got to get it tight. I want you to practice with emphasis on some of the physical skills. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you about physically presenting is voice drives these gestures. So if your voice is really flat, doesn't have a lot of emotion, your body's just going to stand there like this. That's what it's going to do. When your voice goes up, it's kind of like a puppet on a string. Your arms, your gestures, your body will come up. Okay, so more enthusiasm, being authentic is better. Let's take a look at it. Now, before you do that practice in the video, let's talk about the setup for success, what your environment should look like, and camera best practices. If you, whatever your camera is, whether you've got it on a tripod, I mean, some of you may do this. You may put your camera on a tripod, back on a table, and stand in front of it, okay? The key thing is eye contact goes straight into the webcam. You don't want to look all the way around. The people that you're presenting to are actually in the webcam, okay? Oh, what's wrong with this guy? Come on, the guy's on BBC. Look at the mess he's got. He looks nice, got a suit on, got to give him that. But look around, like, what do people see? You don't need it to be perfectly clean, but it has to have a sense of not distracting people. All right. Now, what I liked about this lady, I like that she's standing. She looks casual, but she still looks professional. She's got some books. She's got a tree back there. There's some blurred back there. But, you know, I'm focused on her. I also like that she wore an orange jacket because she just pops, right? But if you look at your environment, you might need to rearrange some space. You might need to take things out. One thing I would recommend, if you have books over there, look at the titles. Are these titles that could potentially offend people or create a wrong feeling about you? It's who you are, but you know what? We don't need those in these kinds of videos. You want to come across neutral, generic. You don't want to necessarily have people saying, oh, she's this kind of person or that kind of person. It's about you and your business. It doesn't need to be about your political standings or your personal standings. Okay, a couple things about the lighting. You got to really practice this a couple times. If you are in your office, by the way, I have my windows, I have a whole thing of windows right here. Right now, my shades are all closed because what happens that it's really bright, it faces east, boom, half my face is lit, the other half is not. So I have to close that down in the morning time so that I look more balanced. Notice the guy's ceiling fan. Turn that ceiling fan off, do not have it on. If you have a light behind you, the camera is going to go to the light. So one of the things I tell people to do is, again, if you're at your desk, you need to have a light that is behind your face. Just so happens I've got a window right there, so I have natural light coming on my face, had to block this light. Okay, so lighting is very important. Here's my personal recommendations for this. I want you to stand. I know it's more stressful to do that, but standing and looking into the camera is one way to differentiate yourself. And not everybody's going to stand. I know you might not stand, but it's one way that you can say, I'm going to stand and present my 60-second. Catch the wave. Next thing, eye contact goes in straight into the camera. And that's why I said, okay, if you want a couple of notes, put that note card right underneath where that camera is. Okay? And that way it looks like you're looking right at the camera. You do not want to be looking down. You do not want to be looking over at another computer. The people are right there. I've already said, don't read the scripts. It's not going to be from the heart. And dress, look sharp, whatever that means for you. But you want to look your professional best for you and the type of business that you have. Now, the delivery. I had the pleasure of watching some of the videos of the winners. And the one thing that stood out for me was I knew they weren't reading scripts. They weren't. But it was clear that they had prepared, but the more they spoke off the cuff, the better they sounded and the better they looked. So I want to give you some tips on that. Aha, this is the one that's going to surprise you the most. You do not want to ramble on and on and on. When you've made an important point, take a breath. How do you do that? At the end of that point, it would literally be like this, a 1-2 count. So I'm going to do it right now, but I'm going to clap my hands and show you how much time it is. Then I'm going to start talking again. Watch me do it without the clap. Then I'll start talking again. You literally are going to stop, start, stop, start. Now, it does feel a little unauthentic, but what happens with the stop is that it gives the room, the observers, time to process. And what that does for you is it keeps them present with you. It keeps them excited. If they feel like it's going too fast or there's no breath, you will look anxious. You will sound nervous. So breathing, very important. Here's another reason why. You've only got 60 seconds. I know you got a lot of content. You have to be careful about umming and ahhing. When we and ah, overuse words like the word like, we don't sound as credible. Now, I know you know your business, so obviously you're credible. But when we insert those words, mainly it's us trying to think out loud. That's what we're doing. The pause not only is good from the observer's perspective, but it's great for you because you just need a couple little seconds to think about what you want to say. So the pause and breathe, big deal when you're trying to do these 60-second videos. Now you're saying, well, when do I do it? Well, at the end of a sentence, you stop. You've just made a very important key point, stop. Silence is okay. And it's actually going to make you look and sound much more dynamic. Okay, now the thing about vocal variety, I'm going to tell you right now, very difficult to sound authentic and be enthusiastic when you're talking to that little camera. There's no people. If you have family members or friends that you can invite over, that you can look at, I know that they can be right behind the camera. I know that sounds goofy, but it's going to actually help you. It's going to actually help you. To get the right enthusiasm just with the camera, you're going to have to practice it a couple of times. Okay, and remove the script. That'll help a lot. Here's how you do it. Now, if you're looking at a computer, and at this point you're going to be looking at a camera, you have to speak 10 feet beyond that camera or the computer. So you're saying to yourself, see, I've got a window that's about 10 feet away. I'm thinking that people are sitting there. You even notice, like, you see my hands kind of coming up and over because I'm pretending that I'm talking to somebody that's out there. In real life, that's what I would do. I'd be pointing and reaching out to them. I'd be leaning into them. But when you do a video, it's very difficult. If that camera is 2 or 3 feet away, you're actually thinking, I'm going to talk to the camera. No, you're not talking to the camera. You're talking to the people that are 10 feet behind the camera. So you're going to really shoot that voice out. Now, standing, if you're going to be standing at your computer, which some of you may do that, if you have a standing desk, then you want to take a couple of steps back so I can see you. So the big thing about the video is I want to see as much of your body as you can. Take a look at me right now. I make sure that you can see my elbows. And the reason I do that, even when I'm doing online session, is because, you know, I'm leaning, you can see me, my hands are coming up. I'm not faking and trying to put the hands in there. That's just what I would be doing, normal. So people will need to see that because that's where the passion is. I'm going to go back for a second. However, what I'd really like you to do is I don't want you to be at a desk. If the world is perfect, you take your, let's just say your iPhone. Everybody has one. Put that on a tripod, put it at the end of a table, step 8, 9, 10 feet back, have somebody check your view, make sure that they've got about a little space above your head and that you're at least to your knees, And that's the perfect camera shot. And then whatever else is around you, make sure it's clean. So it's a little bit above your head, it's around your knees. If you can get that shot and have a professional looking background, that's what you want to do. Now, when you're practicing, remember, we're talking about practicing right now. Do not put a script together, only those key points. But when you do have those key points, you want to be thinking about, how do I get more enthusiastic when nobody's here? So you're thinking about punching keywords. So if I had a script right now, let me go get my pen. This time I'm going to use my pen. If I had a script right now, yeah, I'll draw. I would want to emphasize, and again, I'm not proposing scripts, but when you're in the very beginning of what you're trying to say, you may do this. Presenting online, I would emphasize that word. You need to emphasize keywords. And then, by the way, that's where a pause will be. And it's usually slanted a little bit more when you do it, but pause. You're going to speak a bit louder or softer or faster or slower to punch out keywords or phrases. Okay? The audience needs to feel the drama. So I'm telling myself, drag that out. Since they can't fully see you, your voice becomes the action they need. Action they need. So when I'm looking at my first level of writing things out, I'm looking for words that I can punch out that help me. You just saw me, and I raised up a little bit. I'm not planning that, guys. It just happens in your body when you're punching out keywords. Okay. So I don't play on the gestures. I don't do any of that. The one thing I do is keep my hands unlocked, but I just get the voice punching strong, and then the body it just goes along. Get rid of my drawings. Get rid of that. Now, squaring up and either squaring up if you're going to sit. Remember, I said, try not to, because your body will be less engaging, but standing and sitting tall, let's talk about what that looks like. Okay, if you're going to stand, the thing I want you to do is your shoulders, your hips, and your toes pointing to underneath the table are going to face that camera dead on. Okay, you're just going to stand. Now, because it's a video, you're not moving around. Okay, you're just going to stand nice and solid. Try not to wave too much, but you can keep the feet firm, but the body can move forward. The gestures can move. All of the upper body can move. Keep the bottom part pretty still. Now, you're going to be in a chair, like right now, I'm sitting forward in my chair. I actually have a little pillow back here, but when I'm doing sessions, I'm forward, I'm leaning in, okay? And my feet are flat on the ground. Both feet are on the ground. I don't have my feet crossed. Because again, I'm trying to look very square and solid. And then the other thing that will happen is when I'm square and solid, my gestures will come up even. If I'm leaning to one side, like this, I might get a gesture, but it'll only be the right hand because that's the free one. This is the one holding up my body. So I am feet on the floor, sitting forward. So when my body feels like gesturing or moving, it'll just do it naturally. Yeah, the gesturing, I have a chair that has these arms on it. Some of you may not, but the elbows on the table or on the armchair do help with the gestures. So I put them here, or if you've got a big, huge desk and you're forward, then I put them on the desk. Now, speaking about gestures and hands, the one thing about gestures and hands, we don't teach people how to gesture. Okay, we don't talk about hand gestures. What we do is we talk about getting your body square, and we talk about projecting your voice. These guys here, I mean, you never think about gestures. They just happen naturally. Listen, some people talk and their hands are up like this, okay? I've got people, they would never do that. Never. Their gestures, a big gesture for them might be right here. It's important that it stays within your personality, okay? So don't plan a gesture like that. We're not Vanna White. You know, we don't have to point over here. You're just going to be you, but you're going to be your best self. So the gestures might be here, they might be here, there might be none for a while, and then occasionally an arm will come up. All's good, as long as it's true to you. So when you're standing, you're going to start with them at your sides, okay? Because once you start talking, they'll start to come up. Notice this guy's feet. Square, hips square, head is square. He's looking at this gentleman right in the front. That's exactly what will happen. When everything's squared up, your body will lean in and it will engage. I just talked about this a little bit earlier, but the gestures and hands, if you're going to be on webcam, please get those elbows into view. All right, so that at least we can see all of the upper body. All right. We've talked about a lot today. I went through it pretty doggone quickly, in a good way though, because this was designed to help you take a few minutes of your time and say, I can do this. Like, I can put this 60 seconds together. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I've been in business a long time, over 33 years now. And one of the things that helps promote your business is you. So this 60-second video not only is going to help you with potentially winning an award, which, by the way, very important when you're a young entrepreneur to have accolades behind you. Okay, so I had a lot of those things when I was a bit younger and growing my business. And even today, I just had a client are going to give us an award, and it's thrilling. It just feels good to be validated. So I say, look, take some time, put something together that showcases you, that, by the way, you can even put on your website as well. So there's a lot of places that this can live that helps you shine. The number one thing we talked about was the content. You got to get the content tight and clean, no scripts, and it has to be authentic, but you got to be creative. How do you practice? That's your audience, that webcam. You've got to look directly into it, and you want to make sure that that energy is pushing way beyond the camera so that you are showing enthusiasm. The whole video environment, really take a look at that. Like, what are people seeing from a dress perspective? You dress authentically to you, but your best self in the business that you represent. Okay, so we want to see you looking your best. And as far as the delivery is concerned, the number one thing I want you to focus on is the pausing. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, the pausing isn't projecting energy. That is correct. But air coming in helps you push energy out. So you need that air to have that good energy. So the pausing is the piece you want to practice the most because it allows you to look and sound calmer. All right. Our goal, create a dynamic video for yourself. Tell your story in a way that people, once they watch the video, they go, tell me more about that. Or I'd like to learn more about that business. It's not a rattling off of everything that you do. It's about telling a story that has people say, I want to know more. And by the way, that's exactly what the award does. You know, once they see the 60 seconds, then as you move through the award process, they give you a little more time to tell you more about who they are because you've created that hook on that 60-second video. All right, next steps. Practice the content flow, that comes first. Clean up the background, experiment with the lighting. Eye contact and pausing are the two key things from a perspective of that camera. And I just want to tell you to have fun doing it. Again, it is a business builder, not just for this award, but in all aspects of your business. People like to see that entrepreneur. They love to see those stories. They want to know more about you. And that's how people are in supporting entrepreneurs. So I say shine and let's have you win that award. Catalina, do you want to come back on?
Yes, so this is great. Yep. Either way, yeah, you can stop sharing. That's fine. This has been great.
I was like you and I to be on, right?
I know, right? It's funny because as you were going through the presentation, I thought about even as we're presenting ourselves in virtual meetings. And so you talked about your elbows on your table and how much you can see of your body. And I looked at myself on the screen and I'm like, you can only see up to my shoulders. Oh man, I said, I want to scoot my computer back some. And Yes, yes. So, and as you went through the parts talking about the fact that your feet were not propped up, I had just propped my feet up. So, I think this is invaluable information that not only that our WBEs can not only use in the pitch presentation, but even as they're presenting themselves, even in their meetings, because these are some things that I had not even really thought about. However, you're right. Right now, as I'm looking at myself on the screen, is I've just got hands because you can't see my elbows. So it's just I've got hands just flying, right? And then you've got to intentionally put your hands up here so people can see, and now they're blocking your face. Whereas if I were better positioned in my frame,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They see more. I mean, this, and you're a very enthusiastic person naturally. So we just want more.
Right.
Okay. We really do want more. So you want to get a little bit back so that we can see you kind of rest and then and rest.
Yeah.
The other thing
Yeah. And it's
I will tell you one other thing. So for as far as the web meetings are concerned, back to that pausing piece, guys, you know, when you pause, when you advance the slide. So when you click that clicker to go to the next slide, it's always silent.
yeah,
There's your built-in, this is where you pause.
that's good. That's good. I know I have a habit of talking faster when I get excited about something, and building in those pauses was definitely something that I said for myself, even in this type of an environment, I need to ensure that I do, so that it does not all run together for the viewer, for the listener. So I am truly excited. Everything that you shared today was spot on. I was had the honor last year of watching the pitches that came in when they came in through the submissions, and watching all of them. And the previous session that we did, we actually had the opportunity for our winners to come in, and they, for the first time, watched the videos that they had sent in a year prior, and gave feedback about what they thought, how well they did, or what they could have done differently. And there were pieces that they didn't even realize that they had done, watching those backgrounds and the colors and different things that people brought to their attention and said, oh, you did a really great job in that. And they hadn't even realized it at that time. So, submitting for this pitch and seeing how far you go, it's truly a growing opportunity for yourself. Every opportunity you have to share your business is an opportunity to get even better at it. And so, sharing that story and sharing those telling pieces and making sure that you have something for people to walk away with. And as you said, Sherry, to kind of bait them in, I want to know more about what it is that you're doing. That's, those are those selling points. So we're super excited to see all of our WBEs putting together their pitch. Our call for pitch is open right now as we speak. So make sure you take all these notes from Sherry and jot down your script in the beginning, and then practice without your script and get your submissions in. Submission window closes on July 15th. So you've got about a little over, not even quite half a month, 15 days plus, give or take, don't judge my math, to be able to get those together and get those in. And we are really excited to see all of the submissions that come in, and all of the WBEs who will be pitching at Catch the Wave coming up in August. So this has been great. Thank you so much, Sherry, for all of the information you've shared today.
But like I said in my little pitch, being able to do this is a career maker.
Yeah.
It creates the more visibility. So like we said, it's not just for this award, it's for your business.
Yes. Yes.
So good luck, everybody. I wish you well. I'll be anxious to see who the winners are this year.
Yes. Yes. We will definitely share that information. Definitely share that information. Before we go, because we want to wrap this up, but before we go, I do want to share on our screen, or on my screen, a brief survey. So for those of you who are watching now, you can go ahead and scan that QR code and complete the survey, providing us feedback. We cannot get better without your feedback. And for those who are watching the recording, the survey will still be open, so you can still go ahead and scan that QR code and provide your feedback for our webinar today. And then I always like to take a moment to share. I want to pause. our upcoming events, right? See, implementation right as it's happening, to share our upcoming events, some of our upcoming events that we have in July. I can't believe it's July already. But on July 10th, we have Doing Business with Cybershore. So our Doing Business series, if you're not aware, is an opportunity for our corporate partners to come and share with our WBEs about their business, as well as how you as WBEs can do business with them. And so we just had one yesterday with another one of our fairly new corporate members. And so the one coming up on July 10th is Cybershore. So if you are interested in learning more about Cybershore and what they do and how they can work with you, meaning you can provide your services to them, or you may be in need of their services to learn more about what they do, our Doing Business series is the opportunity to do that. So that's coming up on the 10th. And then on the 11th, for all of our WBEs, regardless of whether you've been certified 5 minutes or 5,000 years, maximizing your WBEnc certification is a webinar that we offer, which truly helps you to figure out the best ways to get involved and fully maximize this woman business owner certification that you all have. And then, as we've already mentioned, Catch the Wave, August 26th to the 28th. This is our 15th anniversary, and it is going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio this year. And we are super, super excited. We are planning all sorts of stuff. It's got our opening reception has a game theme going this year. It's going to be really, really great and dynamic. So if you are not already registered for Catch the Wave, go ahead and get that information to get registered. If you're interested in being a sponsor of Catch the Wave, we can get that information to you as well. So just sharing a little bit about some of the events that we have coming up. That pitch competition we've been talking about is on Tuesday at Catch the Wave. So not only are you submitting that pitch and sharing that with our review team, however, last year we had about 400 and some participants. So it's the opportunity to share your business with 400 and some odd people, right? So it's not just about the judges and whether you move to the next step, but you never know if somebody sitting in that room needs the services that you offer. What better way to get your business out there than to stand in front of 400 people and share your business with them? So that is all I have today. Thank you once again, Sherry, for your diligence, for your commitment to our organization, to your being certified to with ORV for so long. Thank you all for joining us today and for listening in. And we are excited to see you put everything that you've learned today into action. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.